Okay, so I know there's a bunch of different tips that you can use to deal with your children, but these are my 5 top tips that I basically use to help my kids through this situation. Okay, number 1 is you have to understand that your kids are going through a traumatic experience, and it's complicated for you, but it's just equally as complicated for them. They're thrust into this environment dealing with complex adult situations that they don't really understand, and they're going to take a lot of that blame on themselves. So you need to understand where they're coming from and where their trauma is, so that when things happen that maybe they're doing things that might irritate you or potentially provoke you, you can take a step back and look at the situation, understanding that they're having a hard time too. Now, number 2, and this one is really tough, especially in the early stages when you're really having a lot of stress and chaos, but it's basically creating a chaos-free, stress-free environment as much as possible for your kids when they're with you. That doesn't matter whether they're with you the entire time or whether you only have weekends, or like in my situation now, I have 50-50. But whatever that situation is, when your kids are with you, you want to create an environment where they feel safe, where they feel, not threatened, where they feel that they can be themselves. That's really important when they're trying to go through this and you're trying to go through this. Now, the bonus on this is that the calmer they are, the better the entire situation is, because it reduces their anxiety. And then, although you're still dealing with all the issues with the divorce and attorney and all the other shenanigans that your ex is going to be doing, it'll minimize some of the stuff that's happening with your kids and make your situation just a little bit better. Number 3, and this is one that I kind of struggled with in the beginning stages of this, and that is understanding that your kids want to love both parents. It doesn't matter what the other parent is doing, whether it's covert emotional abuse or even maybe if it's more overt, cruel type things that they're doing to the kids. They are going to give that parent a pass. And you need to recognize that and realize and not expect your kids to basically have their blinders ripped off and be able to see things as clearly as you're seeing them. One of the things you need to think about when going through this is remember how you were during it. Even if you didn't think that things were really, catastrophic, you still made excuses and you still made it right in your own head. Why would you expect your kids to do anything different? So whenever things are happening and maybe your kids aren't really recognizing what they're actually going through, or maybe they'll say something to you and then a couple days later it'll be like it didn't happen, you need to expect that, because as kids, they want to love their parents and they want their parents to love them. And recognizing what the other parent is, especially in this situation, especially how toxic it is going to be really complicated. Now, as a little caveat on that, if someone is doing parental alienation, then because of the situation and because they need to get acceptance by that other parent, they can start to fall into that trap of believing that stuff. But if you can keep your situation calm as possible, understand where they're coming from, and make them feel safe and secure when they're with you, that'll go a long way to mitigate some of that parental alienation that you're probably dealing with. Okay, number 4, and this is super critical, is focus on your time with them. Okay, like I said before, it doesn't matter whether it's every other weekend, whether you have a 50-50 timeshare, or whether they're with you all the time. Look at what's actually happening. If you're with your kids and you're having a good time and they're laughing and they feel relaxed and they're emotional with you and hugging on you and basically loving on you, that is the reality. Look at what the actions are and how the interactions with your kids are. That's really what's critical. And if you can focus on this, and I have to be perfectly honest, I failed at that in the beginning. I was so wrapped up in what was being said and the comments and the implications of it, right? I mean, I wasn't thinking about how the kids were acting when they're with me. I was thinking about what I was hearing from the surrogates, what I was reading in the divorce paper and all that garbage, about how the kids were saying to their mom, and, the mom was saying to, the court and stuff that they didn't want to be with me. They were scared of me and all these different things. Had I been able to slow down just a little bit and look at what the interaction was with the kids, I would have been able to remain calmer and it would have made my situation better faster. Bottom line, just because your ex is saying something's true and they're saying it to other people and you might even be hearing about it through the grapevine, it doesn't mean it's true. It also doesn't necessarily mean that the courts are going to believe it. That, when they walk in and they say, you're a monster, that the court is immediately going to say, you're a piece of crap and you shouldn't have access to your kids. remain calm, do all the other steps we were just talking about. Make sure that your kids are advocates for you because they feel comfortable with you, and then they're less likely to basically want to get away from you to make pick the worst of two evils. Okay, number 5, and this one is super important, and this is another one that I struggled with in the beginning stages of this, and this is realize that whatever your kids are saying to the other parent, they have to live in that environment. They have to survive in that environment. If the only way they can get love and attention is by denigrating you, unfortunately, they're probably going to do it. Now, everyone has different personalities, and some kids won't and some kids will, but I will tell you, when I was going through this, and especially in the peak of the chaos, one of the things that was really frustrating for me is when I would hear back that basically my kids threw me under the bus. In retrospect, I understand it. They are struggling to try to get that attention from the other parent. If we think back to your situation whenever you were in your relationship, you were more than likely struggling to get attention and validation from your spouse too. So the same thing, the same pattern is going to play out with the kids. And if they get attention, or they get, basically attention and, pseudo love, conditional love, and it's all because they're talking about how bad it is with you, or they're talking about how you don't know how to do things. Don't think of it that they're really trying to torpedo you, which technically they are, but what they're really trying to do is they're trying to survive in the environment that they're in, okay? If they're around an emotional manipulator and that's what they grew up with, which is more than likely the case, especially if you're at this channel, then realize that that's the environment that they grew up in. That's the environment that how they were able to get attention. That was a situation in my house. I definitely remember at times when, I won't say which kid, but when one of my kids would really want attention from their mom. It's not, it wouldn't be, oh, hey, I want to go with you. Like, let's say there was a trip going into town. It wouldn't be like, hey, can I go with you? Because the answer would be no. It would be, oh, I don't want to go because I'm afraid of daddy. He might hurt me. He might burn the house down. He might do this. He might do that. Now, what I will tell you guys, if you're dealing with that type of stuff, and okay, just let me put the idiot hat on right now, because, I should have realized this in the beginning stages, but I was so wrapped up in the illusion that it didn't click. If that stuff is happening before you leave or before the marriage falls apart, you can expect it to happen later. And here's the little caveat on that is, if it is happening, you can guarantee that your ex is going to document that, hand it to their attorney, and shove it into court documents as evidence on their part that you are a horrible person. If that happens, don't freak out. Change what you're doing if you're doing anything negative to justify those things, and let the system play out. It's tough because you're going to basically have to fight to have time with your kids. And guys, this doesn't matter whether you're the mom or the dad, whoever the narcissist is and whoever strikes first and is able to start spinning that story, the other person, in my situation, it was me, and in your situation, it's you. You're going to be dealing with that. You're going to be dealing with catching up, trying to basically battle those false allegations. But here's the bonus tip. And the bonus tip is, you don't have to fight those head on. Technically, or realistically, fighting those head on actually causes you more problems because, what happens is you kind of look like you're a little emotionally unstable. Now, if you can think about that for a moment and remain rational, kind of goes back up to those previous steps where you keep the chaos out of your house, it'll all get washed out. And that's pretty much, or washed out, cleared out, recognized, one of those things. And what I'm saying is that, like, whenever I finally went to our custody evaluation, that was all played out. It was readily apparent that the kids actually felt comfortable with me, that the kids loved me, they weren't cowering in fear and all those different things. The thing is, here's a little caveat. I'm going to a lot of caveats today. If you're in this situation and some of those things are true, and maybe you have been scaring your kids because you've been played as the role of the authoritarian, the mean person or whatever, or the bad cop, you gotta nip that in the bud and stop that pretty damn quick, because that's not gonna help you. So you want to basically take a step back, hit the reset button, get the chaos out of your house, build that relationship with your kids, understand where they're coming from so you don't get triggered, and things that will more than likely work out. Okay, like I said at the beginning of this, I realize there's other tips. So if you have other tips that you want to share with people on how they can better interact with their children, do that in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe. And if you haven't gone over to the Dad Surviving Divorce website and sign up for the newsletter, please run on over to do that. I've actually updated the website, so check it out and let me know how it looks. And on that, I will talk to you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.